Ms. Peters, would the Bureau of Prisons let correctional officers supervise adult inmates if the officer hadn't successfully cleared an FBI National Crime Information Center background and fingerprint check?
Senator, it's my understanding that our policies and practices require that background check prior to employment.
Well, if that's the case, I'd like to say something not just for you, but for my colleagues. If folks who haven't passed an FBI background check aren't allowed to supervise adults, we shouldn't give them custody of unaccompanied alien children. However, the Office of Refugee Resettlement doesn't require FBI background checks for all sponsors, and it refuses to give law enforcement information on the sponsors, even if the child's well-being is in question. It seems to me this would have to stop, and I hope this committee brings in more witnesses on this subject and takes up meaningful legislation to protect our kids. Mr. Horowitz, I'm going to take advantage of you being here to ask a follow-up question. I wrote you on November the 2nd last year about your review of the Justice Department obtaining phone records of members of Congress and staff. In response, you said your report will likely cover most, if not all, of the 8 categories of information that I asked for. It's been said that the Justice Department obtained these records to investigate alleged leaks related to the discredited Crossfire Hurricane investigation. But I'm concerned that the Justice Department used this as an excuse to keep tabs on Congress as we conducted oversight of the department relating to the Crossfire Hurricane. Can you provide an update on the scope of your review and when you expect to issue your findings? And a second question related to this is, did the Justice Department apply the same investigative standards to its agents and staff or other officials in the executive branch who may have leaked the information, as did members of Congress and our staff?
Thank you, Senator. And I'll give you an update on timing and where we are. We are planning to cover, as I said in my letter to you, the issues that you referenced in the categories we spoke about there. We are actually in the process of drafting the report. So we will hopefully be able to get out in a reasonable amount of time. I will just add, because so much of these issues to cover highly classified information, as you know from our prior reviews, we have to go through the department and the various intelligence community processes to get it to the point where we can issue it. So I always put that caveat on any reports we have that involve classified information. But we are working to get it done. We've made good progress. And the second question you raised, the issue you addressed, is one that we're also assessing.
They do exactly the same thing for their own staff.
That's one of the issues we're assessing, and we will report on that, Senator.
Okay. Director Peters, in February 2024, Justice Department's Inspector General report on deaths in the Bureau of Prisons facilities found the FCC Hazelton had 14 deaths from 2014 to 2021. Last year, September 12th, 23, I, along with Chairman Durbin, Senators Manchin and Capito, wrote to you about additional allegations of serious misconduct occurring at FCC Hazelton. Some of the allegations include prison staff falsifying records involving releasing the wrong inmate, prison escapes, inmate medical assessment, time attendance sheets, and staff's physical assaulting inmates. So do you, you've yet to respond to our letter. Why not? And what are you doing to straighten out the significant problems at Hazelton that we've thought that we brought to your attention?
Thank you, Senator. Well, we take all of those allegations very seriously, and when we learn that someone has not done the job that we've required of them, we investigate it and hold them accountable. Hazelton, like many of our institutions, is suffering from a lack of staffing. We are having difficulty recruiting and retaining there. One of the things that we have done recently is we've actually closed down a unit in order to deploy staff to the rest of the institution. And so, like I said earlier, recruitment and retention is crisis at the Federal Bureau of Prisons, and Hazelton is not alone in that problem.
Is the problem that I brought to your attention entirely related to the number of people you have on staff and nothing else?
Senator, I think it's a variety of things. We talked about contraband and having to tackle the very serious issues of contraband inside our institutions. As you look at the older facility of Hazelton and the maintenance repair backlog, I think that can add to it. I think we also have to talk a lot about the work that the Inspector General and I have been working on to clear up our backlogged investigations, the number of staff that we've added to our Office of Internal Affairs. When I started, there were less than 30 employees in that office, and now we're looking at almost 150 with direct oversight directly to central office in order to not only shore up that backlog, but to hold people accountable in a swift and sure fashion.
Thanks to both of you for answering my questions.
Thanks, Senator Grassley.